You're not like the regular guy who owns a team who just, sits on the sideline and his family come. You be involved. You talk shit to the other team.
Oh, yeah.
If you try to get him to sign with you, don't sign. You call him all kind of punk. You didn't sign with me. I'm like, Mark Cuban is on the front line with this shit.
Oh, yeah. So we talk about it, too.
I love it.
I just didn't care. Look, I've been a basketball junkie my entire life since I've been 5 years old. And I just get into it. We all have something, right? Where you're just like out of control, right? Just super passionate, right? And it's always been basketball for me. I mean, during a game, I'm out of control, right? Those 48 minutes. Right. Any other time, I'm like this.
Best, everything's a remix. If you look at what Apple did, they stole a lot from Xerox, they stole a lot from different places. And, the early days of the PC industry, software industry, there wasn't a lot of regulation, and it was just ready, fire, aim. You just went. Now there's different types of regulation. My biggest miss as an investor was because I paid too close attention to disruption, to regulation. So I had this guy send me an email. I had financed his last company called Red Swoosh, which did peer-to-peer file sharing. And he sent me an email saying, we're going to disrupt the cab industry. And I'm like, that's a really good idea. And it's like, yeah, we're going to call it Uber Cab, and we're going to go around and just use an app so that people can hail a cab. That's why I called it Uber Cab. So you don't have to go through the intermediary of the taxi. And I'm like, this is great, but you're going to have to fight all the taxi associations and all the transportation organizations in each city in every state. And then I started talking to him about his valuation, and I never heard back from him. The rest is history. He's still a jerk, but we're still friends. So you have, and the point is, when you're trying to disrupt something like Travis was doing, right, and it's gotten him in a little bit of trouble, particularly recently, but, sometimes you've got to be ready, fire, aim, and just bust through doors and figure, you'll deal with the regulation or regulatory issues later. And so, he's obviously disrupted transportation, and he's trying to do a whole lot more than that, and he gets all the credit because where I saw regulation, he ignored it. And so if you really believe and you really have something that, you think is going to happen and disrupt the world, bring it to me. I won't make the same mistake twice. And then and then just go. And bust through those doors and figure out how to get through the hurdle.
Most people do a lot of talking, and most people don't put in the effort. There's nothing you can't accomplish in life with the right amount of work. The challenge is, are you willing to do the work? And the reality is, most people aren't, but that's the opportunity, right? It's like people at school. Most people are lazy, right? They barely get through it, and so that creates opportunity. I tell my kids that A, if they want something, they're going to have to earn it. Yeah. And B, if they don't work hard enough to earn it, I'm going to sell them off as medical experiments. That's the line in our house, right? I'm going to sell you off as medical experiments. You need money? Okay, we'll sell you off as a medical experiment. We can get you money that way. I'll go give blood. Dad, I'm 7. I don't care.
We're always like, oh, you're such a risk taker. I'm like, I hate risk, man. I'm terrified. And literally, it is terrifying, taking that first step. For me, it was easier because I got fired, but, it's about preparation. We all go through this process, and tell me what you think, Chase. Where you've got the idea, right? And you get that feeling in your stomach, and you get all excited, oh my God, then you talk to a friend. And the friend goes, oh wow, that's pretty cool. I never heard of anything like that. I'd buy that, right? And then you talk to some other people, and then you do the Google search, right?
Anybody else out there?
Is anybody else doing this? And you try 50 different ways, no one's out there. Well, the first thing I'll tell you is, just because you don't see it on Google doesn't mean 100 companies haven't gone out of business doing the same thing, right? It may not be out. There's a saying in basketball, you're open for a reason, which means you can't shoot, so they're not guarding you, right? It hasn't been done for a reason because every company who's tried it has gone out of business. So the one thing I would tell you is be careful, but once you get past that stage, then what I always tell people is, one, is it's something you love to do. Right?
That's so true, because it's going to get hard.
If you're
really hard, it's going to get hard. And if you don't love what you're doing, then it's like that when shit gets hard, that's when you're gonna like, oh man, I'm gonna fall in the towel.
Right, because you don't know, right? You don't have a sense for it. And I'm a real believer that each and every one of us has something we're good at, right? Sure. And you've got to figure out, is this something you're good at? You know, I've always been good at selling. I found out I wasn't into computers when I was a kid. Then I found out when I started to teach myself how to code, it was like, oh, I like this, right? And I literally would sit there writing software, and I think, okay, I've been working 2 hours, I better get something to eat, and it's been 24 hours, you know? It's just like, what the f, you know? 24 hours, I mean, okay.
That tells you you're clued in. And it's not just what you care about, it's not just passion, because the circles are overlapping passion and aptitude, right? You want to be good at something just because you love basketball.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be any good at it, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can have fun at it, but if you're trying to make a business, a life, a living, then you should.
Yeah, and I always say, don't follow your passion, follow your effort. Right? So you might think you're passionate about playing basketball, playing the guitar, drawing, design, whatever, but where you spend your time is your better indicator, because that's typically what you're good at. And nobody ever quits anything they're good at.
For sure.
You know, when you're good at something, you tend to want to get better.